Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me reading my highest rated and my lowest rated books on my Goodreads TBR. If you aren't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe down below and turn on notifications. And without further ado, let's get into the video. This is future Maya speaking. I've already read one of these books, but I'm gonna go through finding the books with you. So if you want to follow me on Goodreads, I have that link down below. I am an avid Goodreads user. If you follow me on Goodreads, you'll know exactly what I'm reading at any point in time. I keep up with it religiously. Let's sort by average rating. So this is top rated books. So I'm going to do the second book because the first book only has 8 ratings and also is not out yet, so I can't even read that. The top rated book with 4.71 average stars and 190,000 ratings is Know My Name by Chanel Miller, which I have right here. This is an autobiography about a woman who was sexually assaulted, and it's her testimony basically and her story of that case. And this has been on my TBR for years now. I've heard it's just a very important book and it's really well done. So I have the physical book, I also have the ebook, and I have the audiobook, and the audiobook is read by her. So I will be listening to a little bit of this on audiobook. I really enjoy memoirs read by the author because I think it adds a lot more emotional value to the book, if that makes sense, because it's like their story and they're telling it to you directly. So this is the highest rated book we'll be reading. And then the book that I've already read, which you will have to keep watching to find out what I thought about it, is the lowest rated book. So we're going to reverse this. The lowest one is my partner's brother's poetry book. It's only the lowest because it doesn't have any ratings in on Goodreads, so that's on my top TBR for this year. But the lowest book that I'm going to read for this video is called Death of an Author, and it has an average rating of 3.33 stars with 119 ratings. This book, Death of an Author, is one that I've been intrigued by for a little while, ever since I heard this New York Times book review podcast episode about it. The concept of it is this person wrote a book using ChatGPT and other AI platforms. So AI technically wrote the book, but he did like the inputs and stuff for it. So the author is like a pen name of him and the AI, so it's majority written by AI. So those are the 2 books that I will be reading in today's video. I'm gonna start with the lowest rated book, so let's go back to Maya in the past and you can see me as I read that book. Hi guys, I'm a little bit into Death of an Author now. I decided to read that one first, and I wanted to give a little update. I'm not entirely sure what the plot of this book is yet, but like I said in the intro, this was something I heard about in a New York Times book review podcast, and the concept intrigued me enough to add it to my list. So from what I can understand, it's about this author that gets murdered. Right now they just went to their funeral, and the sort of main character guy, it's like third person, so, but he seems to be the main focus. He's like, what happened to her? He writes like crime novels, so he's like, I can maybe solve this mystery. The thing that I'm curious about this book though is like, I know that it's written by, like most of it's written by AI, but some of it's written by the author, and I want to know like what is, like I wish it was like highlighted. So it's a quick book. There's only 104 pages in the ebook. I had to get it as an ebook because it's only available as an ebook. So I'm already like a quarter of the way through. It's just like a really quick book, so I'm gonna go sit and read for like 20 minutes because I'm just kind of curious what's gonna happen. But it's like, I can tell it's not written by a good author, but to be honest, it's not horrible. Like the plot kind of moves forward, but in a weird way. So I don't know. When I'm done, I definitely will be doing some more research on the book and the author to see like what he has to say about the concept of it. I think I'll probably re-listen to that podcast episode to see. But anyway, just wanted to give that little update, and I'll talk to you when I'm further into the book probably. I'm 62% of the way through with this book. It's weird. I was reading it and then I fell asleep a little bit and then we watched TV and now we're here. I don't know really how I feel about it. I can't decide if I like it or not. Like, I think I do, but I don't know. I feel like either it's bad and the point it's trying to make isn't being made successfully, or it's good and I'm missing the point it's trying to make. Which, to be honest, I don't know if we'll know even if I finish it, so. Anyway, it's kind of like mystery-ish a little bit, but I'm gonna keep reading. I think I'm gonna try to finish this tonight. It says I have 30 minutes left in the book to read, so should be a piece of cake to finish this. And then I'll let you know what I think. Hi guys, I wanted to give an update. I've been flying through this book today. I only have this much left. I don't think I ever talked to you when I started reading this book. So this is the highest rated book on my Goodreads TBR. It's called Know My Name by Chanel Miller, and it's a memoir about a woman who was sexually assaulted, and it's her testimony in her time going through her trial and court proceedings. She used like an anonymous name and her case got a lot of media attention, and I haven't gotten to the end yet. I think she'll like wrap it up and like talk about this more at the very end, but she wanted to be anonymous throughout this procedure, which makes sense. But I think this is her like taking her name back, taking her story back, like telling her whole side of the story, and it is incredibly moving, as you could imagine. It's really heavy. Obviously, it's about sexual assault, so, but she's a fantastic writer, and I am really enjoying the way she's telling the story. She talks about trying to protect her sister, trying to protect her family, trying to protect her partner, and like being the older sister in the family and trying to like put up a good face for everybody to pretend that everything's okay, even though obviously it wasn't. And I definitely relate to that part of her story, like the wanting to protect my little sister and things like that. So she's done a really great job of incorporating her personality into the story and telling the story, which is, like I said, intense. I cried a few times reading it earlier, but really moving. This is an important book, definitely, and I am glad I finally got to it. So I have about however much this is left. There's only like maybe 20 more pages of the story, and then the afterword, and then her victim statement at the end. Yeah, definitely she's not like holding back any information. So if you're considering reading this, like, go in cautiously, obviously, because it's a really intense and like triggering subject, but it is done really, really well. Definitely understand why this is such a highly rated book. Those are my thoughts for now. I'm gonna sit here and finish this last little bit, and I will tell you guys my thoughts when I'm done. Hi guys, just got out of the shower, but I wanted to finish off this video and let you know what I thought about both books that I read, since I didn't really give you my final review on either of them. To sum up, I read Know My Name by Chanel Miller as the highest rated book on my Goodreads TBR, and then I read Death of an Author as the lowest rated book on my TBR. Let's start with Death of an Author, since I read that one first. Death of an Author was a sort of mystery story about an author who died and this other author that's like sort of involved somehow. The plot happened really fast, and to be honest, I don't really remember much of it. I finished it a week ago, and the main interesting thing about this book was that it was written mainly by ChatGPT and other AI softwares, which is a fascinating concept to me. I think the execution of it was good, given how kind of bizarre of an idea that is, and how it kind of shows that we're not at a point where AI can write good books. I was listening to the podcast, and I'll link it below. It's one of my favorite podcasts, the New York Times book review podcast. I was listening to the episode where they talk about this book again, because that's where I'd heard about it from the first time. And it was interesting. They were talking about how like there are so many books on Amazon that are just written by AI and published, because they can be. I've honestly read worse books, but it wasn't fantastic. But for what it was pretty good. And it was a quick read. It was only like $4 on Kindle. So if this is something that piques your interest at all, I would honestly recommend reading it, just because I think the concept is super unique and I like the approach of the author that was like behind all of it. And there was a great afterword talking about the process and like his point in writing this. So I think that was really great. The one thing I noticed throughout the book was that the idioms and the phrases that are like slang, sort of like pop culture phrases, whatever, were not good. This was one that I thought was really funny. The paragraph says, Gus took a deep breath and decided to be as clear as possible. He knew that the more he spoke, the less he was making sense. It was like he was brushing his teeth with dirt. And so it was like he was brushing his teeth with dirt makes sense when you think about it as phrasing, but it's not, like, nobody says that. It's just kind of like a weird phrase. The average rating on Goodreads was a 3.3 stars, and I rated it a 3.5 stars, which is pretty close. So I would say I definitely aligned with the average rating on Goodreads here, but I wouldn't not recommend it. And if you have a spare hour, you can also listen to the audiobook. I would recommend it. I talked about this book when I was almost done with it last night. This one I absolutely loved. I think that the author did a really, really, really good job writing this story. And not to say like she couldn't have, because it was her story, but she's just a very, very, very good author. And I really enjoyed reading it. I probably was around page 70 when I started reading yesterday, and I read basically like 200 pages in one sitting just because it was so tense and I had to know what happened next. Like the whole part where she's doing her trial, like when she finally gets to the trial, is super intense, and it's definitely an upsetting book, but also it's like a very important book. I would say if this is something that is not gonna be too triggering for you based on your personal experience, I would say it's a must read. Obviously, protect yourself. I didn't end up listening to any of it on audiobook. I'm gonna probably listen to a little bit of it just so I know what her voice sounds like, but this is definitely a 5-star read for me, and I would recommend it if this is something that you are interested in picking up or have been looking at for a while. Take this as your sign to read it. It's pretty quick and really important and fantastic. So then for this one, I also aligned with the Goodreads average rating. So the Goodreads average rating for this was 4.71 stars, and I rated it 5. So I definitely would recommend it. Overall, I would say this small experiment means that I do trust Goodreads ratings, and I sort of always have. I think that obviously you have to take things with a grain of salt. I like to look at a little bit more reviews. I pick a lot of books on Goodreads based on if my friends on Goodreads have read them, because I trust their opinions and recommendations. And there may be a book that everyone else hated that you love, or there may be a book that everyone else loved that you hate. So I think this is sort of a fun way to get books off of your TBR. Anyway, thank you guys for watching all the way to this point. If you aren't subscribed, you should definitely subscribe now. I'm posting every Wednesday. And leave me a comment with the lowest and the highest rated books on your Goodreads TBR. If you want to follow me on Goodreads, that's linked down below always. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye!